Hi, welcome back to Job Opportunity, and today we are back with another new episode for you guys. Today we have Mrs. Liza Lim, who is a North America Assistant Controller. Today we are going to be asking her a few questions about her job. Before we begin, Mrs. Lim, just how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. Thanks, Noah. How are you doing?
Pretty good myself. So we're so happy for you to be joining us today. So your title, as I mentioned earlier, is North American Assistant Controller. So could you just briefly explain like what that is and what your job is in a nutshell?
Definitely. So any controller or assistant controller is essentially the person in an organization that makes sure that all the funds and the dollars are being accounted for. We're responsible for making sure that our numbers are in compliance with the budget that we created, also in compliance with GAAP, which is Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, that is mandated by the SEC governance. And that essentially makes sure that all financials that are recorded publicly for any publicly traded companies are sound financials, and there's no fraud associated with it. Is basically just making sure that the numbers are sound.
Next question I have for you is, what was the academic pathway that you took to get where you are?
So most accounting jobs that translate into a controller position would require at least a bachelor's of science. So I did get my bachelor's degree, and then from there, it's not enough. I mean, you can go into lower level accounting jobs, but to go to those higher level accounting jobs require a CPA certification. So after your career, you typically work under a CPA to get the required hours to be certified. So I then went to an accounting firm at that point and got my hours there to become certified. Once you get that certification and a couple of years of experience, you can land into a really decent level of accounting at any company, and from there, climb your way up.
So the next question I have for you is, what does an ordinary day look like for you at work?
So an ordinary day, it varies, but I would say for most of the time it's sitting in meetings. So at my level, I'm managing a bunch of people. So I'm called into meetings to address any key issues that come up from my team. So I'm sitting in meetings and making those decisions, analyzing and reviewing financial information. And then part of my day is administrative as well, but I am sitting in meetings, looking over key areas of our financial statements to make sure that, things go smoothly.
What is the work environment typically like at your office?
At my current office, when we were there before the pandemic, it's pretty crazy. So I feel like the moment I log on to work, I'm about 20 emails deep. It's because we're a global company. And so what's happening across the globe is they're still working. And so I get introduced to multiple emails that I have to sift through. And then I've got a series of meetings that have been already scheduled, a couple weeks in advance. So it's fun. It's exciting, but I'm moving from meeting to meeting, chatting with people and trying to resolve issues. But a lot of it, like I said, it's interactive with people. Not only am I meeting with my team, there are meetings that I work with business partners throughout the organization, because I'm downstream. And what that means is financial information is generated after everything that happens in the business, right? So marketing and sales, they do their thing, and that results into financial information, commercial, supply chain, we purchase inventory. And so all of that transpires into financials, and I'm at the end of the line. Right. But I still need to understand from my business partners throughout the organization, if there's a business change or something's going on that will impact our financials, we need to get ahead of it so that we understand, how do we do the accounting associated with that? What impact does that have in our financials? How do we adjust for those changes? And then ultimately how you take those numbers and help our CEO make decisions for the future.
So another question I have is, like you said about earlier, one aspect of your job is providing accounting leadership and direction. And could you describe what your experience has been like working with like so many different types of people and leading them?
So in my current role, and it changes over the different phases, but where I am today as an assistant controller, and this is for large companies. So typically under either an assistant controller or controller, you have different groups. One is called general ledger accounting. And those are your accountants that are basically running the numbers, performing the analysis and the reconciliation that ultimately ends up in your financial statement. Also, what rolls into controllership is accounts payable. And that's the group that just pays the bills. It's very transactional. And so you have a lot of lower level staff in that group. And then you also have what's called accounts receivable. And those are the people that basically receive cash payments for any invoices that we have to customers. The GL, General Ledger Group, is the most savvy group. A lot of them have high education. They come in through public accounting. So that group is amazing to work with. It is so easy. They have the right mindset. It's easy to manage them. They self-manage for the most part. Super easy. The AP and the AR transactional level. So I've had some challenges with lower level staff in terms of managing that mindset. When you get them all together, you have to kind of speak a different language. You sort of have to adjust. It's an art. Whenever you work with people, it's an art to make sure that you understand where they're coming from as well, so that you could be a good leader and affect change.
And so not too long ago, our team sent out a survey to a variety of different schools, asking students about things they want to hear about in our interviews. The main ones that was popping up consistently was the question of the balance between work life and life outside of that. For example, family and time for hobbies. So could you describe, in your own experience, what it's been like trying to find that balance?
It's a really, really tough one, especially in this field. I think in the world of accounting, it's demanding, especially if you work for a large company that's publicly traded. You ultimately are at the end of the line when it comes to information. And so you're waiting for information at the end of the day, but yet you still have to meet those deadlines that are set forth so that you can publish information. So it's always been a challenge working long hours or trying to juggle it here and there. So what the accounting world ends up doing, it ultimately goes to the CFO. So anything in the CFO world, usually, unless it's a smaller company, you hear people struggle with work-life balance and they work tons of hours. But like anything, across all careers, you could find little areas of improvement by just being organized and saying no, trying to, minimize meetings. And then the last thing I do is try and wake up early. For some reason, if I wake up early and get ahead of it, things just run smoother.
Well, I think that was very helpful what you just said, I think. So just about to wrap up here with our last question. What is one last piece of advice that you would like to give others that are aspiring to be in the same position or job as you?
The one piece of advice is just really understand. Again, it's back to understanding it so that you could make sure you really, really like it. Because honestly, most people I talk to, and I'm grateful for the role. It's paid the bills. It's given me lots of opportunity and I love it. But most people I talk to that do this today, my colleagues at different companies, they all say, gosh, if I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't pick this career because it is a huge sacrifice on time, right? Some people love it though. Some people really, really like that and can just have their career in the forefront of their life, and they don't necessarily need that, work-life balance or other hobbies, right? You just have to know that it can be pretty demanding. So I would just, my tip would be just really understand it all the way through it. Do you like the culture and the lifestyle that the career would provide for you?
Well, that was, I think, the best possible way we could have ended this amazing interview. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lims. On behalf of Jobbertunity, I just like to thank you for all that you do and for spending some time with us to educate us and teach us about what you do every day. You gave so much great advice, and we're so happy that you were able to come on and talk with us today. So thank you so much. And
it was my pleasure, Noah. Honestly, if you guys have any follow-up questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, you heard that. Thank you so much. Thank you also to all the viewers watching, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.